everyone, and welcome to HOA Fight Club. Today I would like to talk about the House Bill 1482 that I'll be testifying for in just a few minutes. So this bill is dealing with foreclosures. It does need additions to the bill. Right now it only covers 6490. RCW code 6490 in Washington State. And that means that the other HOA and condo associations do not apply to this bill. So that was the first thing that I would make sure that we request, is that all of the condo associations and HOAs have to follow this law of foreclosure process so that we can keep people in their homes. So some of the things that I noticed in the bill and that I've requested by the senators is adding those sections. The next one was mandatory mediation. So the first thing attorney or HOA boards do is hire an attorney. Well, that attorney costs anywhere from at least $250 to $500 to advise. So my suggestion is that we make it mandatory for mediation for any fines for homeowners. This will keep it legal. The board will have to prove to the mediator that there was a reason for the fine and that they had evidence of the fine and they offered due process for the fine. That way, then, if the board is a rogue board, they will not be able to pass this fine and foreclose on somebody's home for something that they did not do. Kind of like mine and the mice smoking in the backyard fine. The next one, all notices need to be sent certified mail. That is not in the laws, which seems crazy to me. Crazy to me. You're going to foreclose on somebody's house, but you don't have to send them a certified letter, at least to advise them that you're going to foreclose. There needs to be processes in the law to protect that. The next one is the Homestead Act. So the Homestead Act kind of helps people that are seniors or low income or on a fixed income, so they don't lose their homes to things that cost more. Well, we know in Washington State it's 51% to deny a budget. So the board can increase a budget 50, 100%. So your HOA dues can double or triple. There's no cap on how far or how much an association go into charging people. And then they can add special assessments above and beyond. A special assessment for $3,000 could put somebody into foreclosure and bankruptcy. We should not be able to foreclose for special assessments that were not in the reserve studies and things like that. The reserve company, the Association Reserves, does a reserve study over every condo and HOA in Washington State. They should be able to tell you whether there's a problem, and they don't have to report to anyone. So maybe some accountability by that side of the law, would help. If those people investigating and doing reserve studies had to report, I bet you a lot of things would change. The next one is attorney fees. Maximum $2,000. Well, if we're willing to spend $2,000 on attorneys, don't you think we should spend $250 on mediation, $500 on mediation before we actually go to an attorney? I think that would save a lot of associations some money, and the other homeowners that have no idea what's going on, that will save them money also. $200 is the minimum they need to have to foreclose on your homes. Think about that. $200. That's it. So the board can steal your home for $200, and they can just add whatever fees on there and foreclose non-judicially without you even knowing. So I don't think that's fair, but the government seems to think that's fair because they allow developers to write the laws. Proceeds. So if you have a homeowner that's past due $200 and you foreclose on their home, you should have to pay off the lender, not allowing it to foreclose on the person that owned that home, because you profited. So you should have to buy that house from the lender, not leave it into foreclosure. Your foreclosure was for $200, and yet you're letting a home loan for $300,000 go into foreclosure for a $200 debt. I think there's other things that the board could have done to prevent that debt. They would have been better off, instead of hiring attorneys, just paying the debt out of graciousness and trying to keep the homeowner up to date on their payments. I bet you boards that worked with their homeowners would actually see a lot more successful in getting all of their assessments done. I know that our HOA stopped doing fines and foreclosures just before I was leaving, and they didn't really have anybody past due at the time. So they were at their lowest amount. I think it was like $500 was past due at the time, which which is unheard of in an association. But that's because this board was taught that if they did not follow the CC&Rs, that I would turn them in. And I was already had a lawsuit applied, registered in the state. So they knew that they were under pressure and they were being watched. So they had to follow the rules. Our property managers are uneducated and unlicensed, yet they can sign a document to the courts that says you owed all that money. That's all they need to foreclose on you, is a uneducated, unlicensed property manager's signature. I really don't think that that's fair, but our state seems to think that that's fair, and I'm asking for them to change that. There should be penalties in the law for any board that is found to be rogue. So if you find a homeowner and the homeowner can prove that they didn't do what they were supposed to, they didn't get due process, or they didn't actually have any evidence of him committing that fine, that board should be fined $500 each of their own personal assessments that should be assessed to their account, and the board should be forced to step down for making decisions that are not reasonable to their duty. So those are the things that I'm asking for today in this law. I don't think that they're really that hard, but I'm sure I'll be fought every step of the way. So we'll see what happens, and I'll report when I'm done. All right, I'll see you on the next one.